Now, next news which makes the headline is Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So, Jallianwala Bagh was a heinous phenomena and a brutal massacre which rose against the British government under the 13 April 1919. There was a riot by the British government who captured entire Jallianwala Bagh and started firing on them. So, at Jallianwala Bagh we saw that there was a brutal massacre on the Sikh people who were standing against the Saifuddin Kichlu and arrest of these people. So, at Jallianwala Bagh there was a first movement which started by Rajendra Prasad on April 13, 1961 and on the massacre of 13 April. So, there is a National Memorial Trust on May 1st, 1951. पहला नेशनल मेमोरियल ट्रस्ट को इस्टेब्लिश किया गया इन जलियांवाला बाग. Then it was presided by Indian National Congress, Chief Minister of Punjab, Governor of Punjab, Union Minister. Then there is important parts of this Jallianwala Bagh show. So that is 28-minute sound and light show in this place, and a salvation ground has been built by visitors to sit in silence in honor of the martyrs. Martyrs की शहादत को ध्यान में रखते हुए एक साइलेंट जोन रखा गया है जहां कुछ समय के लिए आप जलियांवाला बाग में बैठ सकते हैं. Then several new sculptures of martyrs have come up. 4 new galleries have been created through adaptive reuse of underutilized buildings and complex. The galleries of history of Punjab, Punjabi freedom movement and Gadar movement was being added in the Jallianwala Bagh. Remember this fact. It also composed sculpture of Guru Nanak Dev, Sikh warrior Banda Singh Bahadur and statue of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So also it touched the ceremony of 100 years of Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and General Dyer kept there with standing and capturing entire Jallianwala Bagh and killing many people, leading to a huge massacre. So it was rebuilt by generally murals and leaving no trace of old passage. Now there is a famous Shaheed Khu, Shahidi Khu और मार्टियर्स वेल, मार्टियर्स का कुआं यानी शहीदी कुआं वहाँ पे बनाया गया है, जिससे कि वो देख रहे हैं पीपल जम्प टू दी escape of hail of bullets to enclose their life and save their life at all. Now this makes again a brutal part of the British Empire in which General Dyer was taken into the Parliament of British and he was taken a charge of penalty by imprisoning him to a long time. Now, in 13 April 1919, there was a Baisakhi Day and there was a Rowlatt Act passed against the Indian soldiers, which paved the way for the British government to restrict the habeas corpus, and in this no one was allowed to make group to protest against the British government and no one was allowed to do protest and raise their voice. So habeas corpus was curtailed. Still many people visited Jallianwala Bagh. They started gathering and they were protesting against the Saifuddin Kichlu, and many people were gathered in Amritsar against the arrest of Saifuddin Kichlu and Dr. Satyapal. Remember these two names for your prelims. So implementation of the Rowlatt Act was the main problem and there were many persons detained without any trial. Now, next news which makes the headline is the caste census. So what is caste census is news. It makes the endurance of 2021 caste census triggered in the serious debate. Earlier census was held in 1931 by Census Commission of India in 1931 and post 1947. Earlier caste census was taken by Lord Ripon in a formal way. लॉर्ड रिपन के द्वारा पहला फॉर्मल कास्ट सेंसस हुआ था जिसमें कि ऑल द डिटेल्स ऑफ पीपल्स who are from different caste, different communities were taken in hierarchical order, their population percentage, their composition was taken into account. So as India got independence, the Statistical Commission and Census Commission of India takes the first census on the SCs and STs in 1951. Now previous attempts by caste census, socio-economic caste census 2011, It was distinct exercise from census of 2021 and it makes household and allows ranking of household based on the predefined parameters. Census in rural area by Department of Rural Development was started. In urban areas, Ministry of Housing and Poverty Alleviation was doing the caste census, and in the Ministry of Home Affairs and Registrar General of India was doing the caste census with help of Census Commission of India. Next part is provision information like structure of the houses of household, kacha makan, ownership status, main source of income is taken by SECC, Socio-Economic Caste Consensus by Commission of India. Then there is more information, parameters and data referred to infographic article at the end of the article which look into the various parts of the caste consensus. And SECC few examples such as National Food Security Act, PM Awas Yojana and Ayushman Bharat Yojana, PM Ujjwala Yojana. Rohini Commission is again a commission set by the Government of India and the Supreme Court Justice V. Rohini, who is taken the part of the consensus. So G. Rohini is taken into the part since October 2017 to look into the matters of other backward caste community. So अन्य पिछड़ा वर्गों की देखरेख के लिए कास्ट कंसेंसस की बात फिर से उठी है, जिसकी देखरेख जस्टिस जी रोहिणी के द्वारा किया जा रहा है. The commission was set up to examine the possibility of creating categories within the OBC. So जी रोहिणी कमीशन को आप याद रखेंगे, who is the Justice of Supreme Court of India, एंड उनके अंतर्गत ये कमीशन बनाई गई है टू क्रिएट इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेशन अमॉन्ग ऑल द अदर बैकवर्ड कास्ट कम्युनिटीज. इट्स ऑब्जेक्टिव इंक्लूड वर्किंग ऑफ अ मैकेनिज्म क्राइटेरिया फॉर द पैरामीटर्स थ्रू द साइंटिफिक अप्रोच लीडिंग टू ओबीसी कंसंट्रेशन, देन अ सेंट्रल लिस्ट फॉर द ओबीसी क्लासिफाइंग द वेरियस सेक्शंस ऑफ द अदर बैकवर्ड कास्ट. फर्दर a commission proposed dividing OBC number 1, 2, 3, 4 and split 27% to 2, 3, 6, 9 and 10% respectively. यानी कि जो भी रिजर्वेशन होगा उसकी क्राइटेरिया सेग्रीगेट की गई है इन टर्म्स ऑफ 1, 2, 3, 4 and 2, 6, 9 for 10%. In the OBC community itself there should be a reservation for the different people, that is upper caste and lower caste elites. So it recommended complete digitalization of OBC records and standardized system of the OBC data. OBC के जो भी डेटाबेस हैं, उनकी जो भी आंकड़े हैं, उनको स्टैंडर्डाइज करना, एक सिस्टमैटिक मॉड्यूल में ऑनलाइन अवेलेबल कराया जाना, इसकी चर्चा हुई है. So brief history of caste census, we see that 1836-37 1836-37 में caste census हुआ था and first issue was done in 1830 by British government by Henry Walter Decca, Dhaka में, that is in Bengal. Now it is in Bangladesh. तो बांग्लादेश में सन 1830 में पहला सेंसस हुआ था. Secondly, it was in 1836. Thirdly, 1872 by population census of India by Lord Ripon. Then again in 1881, the first synchronous census of India was held. In 1931, last census counted the OBC. OBC की पहली गणना 1931 में हुई है. 1931. Then 1953 the काका केलकर कमेटी की रिपोर्ट हम पढ़ते हैं दोस्तों. It is again UPSC point of view. First National Backward Class Commission was appointed. First Backward Class Commission. 1990 report of Mandal Commission was implemented. 1979 government created socially and educationally backward class commission, SEBC commission को लाया गया by मंडल जी, and it put it front the Mandal commission meeting to look into the details. Now total household in the country, rural plus urban, was started in motorized 2, 3, 4-wheeler fishing the boat. That is the next news which makes the headline is the total household in the country in terms of rural population and household taken by Kisan credit card over 50,000. KCC कहाँ तक मिली है? Then household with non-agricultural enterprises registered with the government. Any member household entering more than 10,000 per month. Then owns 2.5 acre of irrigation land and 1 irrigation equipment. And further, they automatically included based on fulfillment by the household without shelter, destitute living on alms, manual scavenger families, primitive tribal groups, and legally released bonded laborers. Further, household considered deprivation, household non-reporting deprivation, household with any one of 7 deprivation, 7 या उससे कम के deprivation हो सकते हैं. So with the latest appointment, working strength of the top court has risen to 33 judges. It again makes the news for introduction of women judges in judiciary. कितनी महिला जजेस मिल रही हैं और कितनी जनसंख्या रखी गई है महिला जजों की, that again makes the news. So there was 33 judges, now raised to 34, in which there is 4 women judges are there. 4 women जज को अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट में रखा गया है. So again it is a part of the collegium system. Collegium system की autonomy सुप्रीम कोर्ट अपने पास रखती है, in which it decides the number of total judges that can take part in any kind of decision making, and highest number of judges that is again taken by the bench of judges in the Supreme Court of India. In Supreme Court. Now next part we see that appointment of judges in higher judiciaries under article 124(2). आर्टिकल को आप याद रखेंगे of Constitution of India, that is 124, and 217 of the Constitution, which held for the appointment of the judges of the Supreme Court and further the High Courts respectively. Under both provisions, they provide for certain criteria for collegium system of judges, in which there is appointment, selection of judges, and transfer from High Court to the Supreme Court, judges selection from the lower court to the higher court. All factors are included. So the president by notification, यानी कि भारत के राष्ट्रपति किसी भी नोटिस या सूचना के द्वारा किसी भी लोअर कोर्ट के जज को और जज ऑफ द हाई कोर्ट कैन टेकन इनटू द जज ऑफ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, and it is taken by the first judge's cases in 1981, then second judge cases in 1993, and third judge's case 1998. So we see that average sex ratio of judges is again very mediocre in terms of male and female ratio. So this one is the minor female ratio. Minority female judges in the collegium system, and 88% of judges are male. So again there is male dominance in decision making. And justice delivery. So there is again a gender parity and gender gap. We again see that there is 72% of male judges and only 28% of female judges are from scheduled caste sections of society. So again there is low representation from the backward section of society in terms of judges that are part of the collegium system, which we see in the news and this data. Women judges in the country shows state of Bihar, that is 99 women judges with 9.8% of ratio and 35 is reservation for the women. In Jharkhand we see 62 women judges, 13.8 ratio and 0.5. Gujarat is 1111 in which 177 women judges, 16 are percentage of women judges and none is reservation. Then in Uttar Pradesh we are having 376 women judges, 21.75 percentage women judges reservation and 20 reservation for women. In Himachal Pradesh 25.72%, Himachal 26%, 34% is the highest in Delhi. So highest percentage of judges, women judges in Delhi. सबसे ज़्यादा महिला जजों की संख्या दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट में रखी गई है, that is 34% and this is 170 numbers. So the point to be noted is the percentage of women judges are of the total strength of judges in subordinate courts. Reservation for women judges ranges from 5% to 35% and not in all states having the provision for quota for the subordinate courts. No quota in high courts or Supreme Court for the women judges. That is again a point of worry. Now the next news is about gambling. People who are caught by the government and the police administration by making gambling illegal move. Now recently the judgment of Delhi High Court make the prohibition of online gambling as illegal. So ऑनलाइन गैम्बलिंग को इलीगल करने के लिए प्लीडिंग की गई है. Now what is that pleading? Shows that there is various claiming on the prohibition of such activity. It is playing rummy like game, playing betting kind of thing, that is prohibited. Now Delhi High Court informed the center that the gambling has been prohibited as subject of state government. So there is 3 lists: union list, state list and concurrent list. So gambling is a subject under the state list of the 7th schedule of Constitution of India. It means that the state legislative assembly can make the law against the gambling activities. Now center claims that the legislative competence determines whether gambling is a game of hail or denial. Now that part makes the gambling again a very notorious game for the family. Now legal position, gambling in India is right now, horse racing in India is legal, घुड़सवारी भारत में लीगल है. देन सेवरल स्टेट्स लीगलाइजेस लॉटरीज को भी बहुत सारे राज्य सच एज केरला, अरुणाचल प्रदेश, असम, मेघालय, महाराष्ट्र, मणिपुर, मिजोरम, पंजाब, नागालैंड, वेस्ट बंगाल एंड सिक्किम लीगलाइज कर रहे हैं. ऑनलाइन गैम्बलिंग एंड लैंड बेस्ड कैसीनोज आर अगेन legalized by Goa, Sikkim, Nagaland, Daman and Public Gambling Act 1976. Remember this act, Public Gambling Act of 1976. Further, Maharashtra has prohibited gambling and considered gambling illegal under the Bombay Prevention of Gambling Act of 1887. Then e-gaming, game of the chances, has been legalized in Sikkim and Nagaland. ई गेमिंग को भी लीगलाइज किया गया है सिक्किम, नागालैंड में. तेलंगाना, अरुणाचल प्रदेश कंसिडर गेम ऑफ स्किल्स इलीगल एज पर द तेलंगाना स्टेट गैम्बलिंग एक्ट ऑफ 1974. ऑल इंडिया गैम्बलिंग फेडरेशन, द रमी फेडरेशन एंड फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडियन फैंटासी स्पोर्ट्स हैव अडॉप्टेड अ सेल्फ रेगुलेशन कोड फॉर देयर एडवर्टीजमेंट. दिस अगेन मेक्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ न्यूज दैट सर्टेन स्टेट्स in the country have legalized the gambling. On the other hand, many agencies and many private players has their own separate codes such as Rummy and other such platform having the self-regulation code for the gambling activities and such games. Now the other part is protecting poorest strata of society from gambling. Gambling होने के चलते जो poorest section है समाज का, दैट अगेन लॉस्ट इनटू लॉटरी में बहुत सारे पैसे वो लगा देते हैं. देन बेटिंग में, जुए में ये बहुत सारे पैसे हार जाते हैं. that again leads to deterioration of their family condition, poverty, unemployment and malnutrition of their students and kids. That this impacted the personal life, economy of the state, social life and activity of vulnerable sections of the society. Further, legalizing would promote gambling. इसको अगर legalize किया गया friends, then it will erode the values of the society. So again paper 4 वाला part आ जाता है, values of society कैसे erode हो रही है, gambling के द्वारा. Remember this fact. So gambling addiction is again very problematic and challenging part of Indian people, and they suffer mental illness, उन्हें mental and psychological problem होती है, and they fall prey to this trap. Now we see that lottery is enumerated in entry 40 of list 7th schedule of Constitution of India. So 7th schedule की state list में lottery आती है, and that again makes the ambit of gambling. So there is a Lotteries and Gambling Regulation Act. Further, the state subject under entry 34 list 2 of the 7th schedule provided for the enactment of Finance Act 1994. Remember this act, that is Finance Act of 1994 के द्वारा betting and gambling being prohibited by the government, and particularly exchange of value of money, currency and consciousness in hope of gain becomes the game of gambling, and that determines the chances of accident or on the likelihood of anything occurring and not occurring. That again makes the criticality of this game.